Okay, hey, welcome everyone. It's Monday the 20th of April, March, no, April 2015. I'm Aidan Fry, point of contact for the Venus Project in the UK. We've got our study session that we do every Monday. Just quickly, announcement on the 5th of May in London. Sorry, Antonio, where is it? Something like Institute of Education.
I will get the address for you. Just bear with me one sec.
Yeah, so we have Jacques and Roxanne doing a remote talk from the Venus Project, setting up on a big projection screen. And we have a stall set up with some supporters behind there, going to take some email addresses and have a good chat with anyone that wants to come. The address is Institute of Education at UCL in London. It kicks off from 12 o'clock midday and goes on till 9. I think Jacques and Roxanne are about mid-afternoon, so about 3, 4 o'clock. Hasn't been confirmed yet, so get there nice and early. So that's cool. We're going to have some people down there. And yeah, Sheena Bratt was kind of event coordinator in this, which is a new role I've created for her. So hopefully she's going to be giving some regular updates on the Facebook page as well. Cool. On to today. We just watched a 7-minute video on the transition and resource-based economy. The link I'll post in the box below. So, what's this? Sorry. And do you want to explain what that is?
No, I've just posted a link in case anybody wants free tickets to the event. They can just click on the link at Eventbrite and then book themselves a ticket.
Brilliant. I'll post that below the video as well once we're done. Cheers. So yeah, we've just watched the video. We've got some questions. So we'll just delve right into them now and get on with the good stuff. So Andrew, you had the first point written down.
I do. Would you like me to read it aloud?
Yeah, or give us the gist. What did you want to say?
Well, I felt that at the beginning of the video, he talks a lot about desire for more and more and more and human greed, and it made me wonder: is it perhaps necessary to have some kind of spiritual awakening or revolution alongside this kind of technological one in order to be successful?
So by that, I think you mean kind of a value shift in what people...
Yeah, perhaps, yeah.
Yeah, spiritual is one way you can term it. I would say value shift and what people think is good, what people think is bad.
I would completely agree with you, Aidan. I think it is. It's just values, basically. Spirituality is just a set of values like love and kindness and compassion, consideration. I think people just add too much of a religious element to spirituality when really it's just love.
So generally, what I'm saying is yes. The point where basically the Venus Project kind of feeds on as the technology changes and we do more things like this and people get more awareness and educated towards the thing. The point of view that basically the environment will actually start giving feedback to the values that we're talking about here, so that you get that kind of shift in the general population. So we're kind of slowly on the way there, and it's a big part of what they say. They say, you can build the first city exactly as planned, in all the documentaries and stuff, but you throw people from today in there and it falls apart. So you got to have the value shift as well to get there. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's it's just a shift, isn't it? It's a shift of ideologies, a shift of just the way that we do things. I think the world we live in today is very much motivated by the wrong incentives, like competition and greed and kind of stepping on top of each other to get to the top of the ladder, and it's just it's just not a very nice environment to live in at the moment, is it? You know, it's quite difficult, quite challenging, a lot of issues, a lot of problems. So I think a shift is in order for everyone, really. You know, we all want something better. So, you know, I completely agree.
So when things in your environment start getting hard, this when shift becomes possible, and it's kind of depends on the information you come into contact at that point, which way you can kind of go. You know what I mean? You could lose your job or whatever, and you could go down the UKIP road, or you could bump into RBE and start seeing things a completely different way. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. What we're trying to do is kind of have those tendrils out there to collect people that are in that situation. And the thing is that the value shift we're talking about is a vital part of what is known larger as the transition. And really, when people say, you know, why aren't they building it now? They think that it's just the actual city which needs building, but it's the value set that needs building and the network of people. So we really are actually in the transition. We've been in it for a good while. It's like it hasn't come to the physical side of getting the first building, but we are there. We're making progress.
And I think, like Aidan said, we're in the transition now. I think the transition is going to go on a lot longer than we expected to as well. Like, because I think these values aren't all going to die out so quick either. I think it's going to take like maybe even a few generations after we've got all the cities in to get all the bad behaviour out.
Very much so. Totally agree. And the thing is that I agree with your point of what you're saying. It definitely, you know, everyone's in the resource list of the world set up. You know, you've got people who could be living to 100, 150 years, and no, there might be, who knows, there might be a limited amount of reconditioning that you can do to people. Some people might just get a certain way. That's for behaviorologists to find out. But yeah, they talk a lot about starting. They said in there something about starting fresh with children, which is really where you can do a lot. We can do a lot in a short amount of time.
I agree. I think on that point, that is where the change needs to occur. But I think before that stage, once again, it goes back to the adults, because it's the adults that are educating the children. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's very much what Mick is saying. You know, it seems like it's a long way away because there's so many shifts that have to occur. You know, unless there's, I don't know what it could be, but unless there's some kind of major catalyst that kind of just spurs things into super speed or what have you, then yeah, it's more a long game, really, isn't it? You know, a long term thing, which is unfortunate because we need it now. You know, I speak to a lot of people that are interested in the Venus project, and I can sense their frustrations, the same as kind of what's coming out of the conversation we're having. You know, people want it; they want it now rather than later. But it's like you say, it goes back. It's not just the buildings; it's the ideology, planting the seeds and fostering the seeds, and you know.
Well, the thing is that part of that is what they were talking about in the video of people want it now. They just expect it to be there, done. Because that's kind of where we are today. By the time people see anything, it's done. You know, there's already been so much investment in it that you have to buy it. There's nothing else. Whereas we're talking about something that does need a lot, does have a huge amount of kind of pain involved. Like the frustrations that the people that you meet, like I have them still. I'm trying my hardest, but you know, it very much is. Come on, I feel like I need to be doing more because I believe in this so much. I feel like it should be further along than it is because logically in my head, oh my god, it's so amazing. Now, why has no one else seen this? And this kind of transitions on to my point too. We can come back to the first one if we still need to. But they said a tough job ahead, which is basically Jack and Roxanne not being pessimistic, being realistic about the chances that they have of this actually happening, you know. And that's something that we need to keep in mind if we want to stick around for a while. You know, I see many people come in here, maybe a month or two, hit that wall, get frustrated, and then you don't.
You can't even solve the problem on a global scale. What's so great about the alert? You can't fix any of this. Maybe we're over-invested in that thing.
Hello, Don.
I think we should, as a society, embrace other states of consciousness. That would open us up.
That was good.
You know what? That was a little bit like anonymous, isn't it? Just intruding and broadcasting their voice. That was a bit mad.
And listen, was he even talking to us? It sounded like he might have been. But...
I thought it was like a TV in the background, but
yeah. Okay. Never mind. Well, that's sidetracked me completely. Oh yeah, basically expectations and setting them basically very low so we can actually be productive. So something along those lines. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, Aidan, if you remember telling me about the Eye of the Storm, the thing that Katrina's running.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've been really involved with what she's doing at the moment, and I've been kind of really pressing the issue of the Venus project on her, and just trying to get her to be kind of more open to the idea, because as you know, she's got prolific contacts, like really kind of top down, government officials and what have you. She knows everyone in that kind of scene, and she did say to me, funnily enough, that she does want to have that conversation, once her model's up and running. But the question that I have is, I love the idea of the Venus project. I think it's what we need. I think it's evident that that's what kind of everybody's crying out for, whether they know it or not. I'm really interested in if that model, because I don't really know how it's going to be rolled out. If it's going to be rolled out in a city or in the desert, or I'd really like to see it come into a community. To start from within a community and then kind of spread out that way. But I have no idea kind of what's on the table really.
Yeah. Well.
Also, No, I was just thinking, because obviously there are so many people, and right now resources are so scarce and whatnot. If this is to be rolled out, what happens to the current cities which don't meet the ideals of the project? What happens to Beijing, to Moscow, to London, which are not sustainable, which don't meet the goals of it? That the current houses are not designed to live in that kind of environment. If we get rid of that, we're going to end up with a bigger, social problem. Like, how do you gradually change that, but change it quick enough that you don't let the planet destroy itself because of environmental damage?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Any feedback, Aidan?
Okay. A lot of points there. I'll stick with Andrew's as his latest in my memory. Cities this I think could be really fun. I'm really enjoying it. I think I can envision this being really fun. Basically, tear them down.
I think that's the only thing really, isn't it? We need to. I think language is really important as well, because tearing them down might appear frightening.
Oh yeah. I'm saying this.
I know exactly what you mean. Don't worry. But I mean, I think it's just about a gentle dissemination of the old, But it has to be done in a really, just a really gentle way. So, it's very difficult to kind of conceptualize, but I think that's what it is, and I think it is about doing it in a city, and I think that comes once the ideas are planted and the values start to change and people start saying, we want something different. They're doing a project. I don't know if you guys have heard about the project in oh gosh, it escapes me now. Is it in Cornwall? I think they did the Totnes project. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, they basically introduced a new law, which they passed. It's called a community right to build order, which basically allows the community to kind of build their own projects, facilities, use like really dilapidated parts of the community that need regenerating. They can take over the space, turn that space into whatever they want for the benefit of the community. Um, so I think like things like that, and it's really amazing what they've done. It's definitely worth checking out. It's in Devon or Cornwall, and it's called the Topness Project. Um, but yeah, I mean, something like that, I think, it empowers the community to actually say, look, this space or this area isn't working. We want to take it over, and we want to do something with it. There's a very interesting this community right to build order that's just been passed. But I think, yeah, it's one of those things. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? It's like, where do we start? How?
I think that sounds amazing. It really does for communities around today. To be like getting on and doing stuff. In terms of what the Venus Project, because they want to do this big, really high-tech design from the scratch. They really want to wipe the slate clean and start from scratch. They don't want to be updating systems as they go, because they not sure exactly where they've done the calculations, but they say that when you're trying to update a city to be modern and to be like eco-friendly and all that stuff, to the technology level that we can do to build a new one today just costs a lot more. So have to try and update it rather than build a new one. So the rollout plan is the way that they've set it out at the moment is to get the first test experimental city down, get that, get people there, mainly scientists and people who are working on how the system works, not really open to the public, the first one. Maybe you can come on tours, you can bring in your world leaders to have a look around, things like that. But it's generally a working facility, a research facility. Once that's up and running, and they've got basically what they're doing in there is they're designing the next city at that point. And the next city comes in, and maybe some of it is given over to residential, and you start actually building a residential/working city. And these cities, as you keep building new ones, they'll start changing into more residential, more interconnected cities, because the first one's going to pretty much have to be on its own. Whereas the next one, at least there's two of them now, third one, they can start kind of connecting the dots, hopefully as long as they're close enough in physical location and all that kind of stuff. And generally the idea for people is, because we want to get, you guys are exactly right, we want to get people out of modern housing in cities as quick as possible, but we can't force them. So the idea is to build these cities and allow people to move there because they're so much better in their own right. You know what I mean? So people will end up moving there, and you can build cities so more people move there, and then the old cities are actually becoming empty in that time. And by the time you get to a point where you can show that the cities are really good, you can maybe make a whole city right next to a modern city, get most of the people over. Of course, there'll be some stragglers, that's fine. But then you mine the old city. I said tear it down, that sounds wrong. But you mine it for resources. You build a new city, and then you mine the old city. And if you've done your job right, you get more resources out of the old city than you put into the new city. And then you can build the next city that's even bigger.
Okay, so sorry, go on, Andrew. You can speak first. I've just got a question.
I was only going to say my only concern with that is that by tearing down or mining or however we want to say it, right, getting rid of the old kind of housing, the old city lifestyle, I fear that a lot of like the great historical and cultural buildings that are kind of associated with our heritage and like identity and stuff will be lost with it. And I don't think anybody would want to lose those kind of things, because I'm not really a fan of the whole like British identity or French identity, but they're part of human history and our story, and they might be damaged or somehow, destroyed in the process,
No, I think is there a lecture where they touch on this, where they say like the like the I don't know, is it Rome that's got like loads of historical like beautiful castles and well temples etc. They'd say like they'd leave the cultural things, they just tear down the homes, or in some cases they would leave a full city where they'd be able to take the next generation children and go, look, this is how we used to live. But I think when it comes to like the I don't know, the monuments, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, that sort of thing, I think they'll leave those alone. Just the terraced houses that are lined up in streets, and then again, they'd even leave those eventually, like when just to show.
Yeah, he does mention leaving whole cities as exhibition or museum cities. Or another thing he talks about is, you can do like 3D scans and digitize as much of the information as possible before you tear it down, so at least you can simulate it later. Things like that.
Cool. I was going to ask. I mean, from what you're saying, Aidan, it sounds like very much like the idea at the moment is to actually build the cities on the fringes of existing cities. Is that right?
Not necessarily. That might be me jumping to a conclusion there, I think, actually.
Which doesn't sound like a bad idea, because then, it gives people the option to move.
Yeah, it does make a certain sort of sense, but it kind of depends, I guess. If, say, you build this city right next to London, and it's downstream from London, then there's some problems there. Basically, the cities will be put in locations where they've got like maximal access to resources, I believe, or they'll be at least designed and tailored to the resources that are available in that location. They talk a bit about, I can't remember exactly which video this is in, but I think they mentioned that they think, this is probably guesswork, that they need to build more cities around kind of the tropics, or like a little bit higher, like Spain, Mediterranean kind of area, because people will want to move to warm locations if they can. If there's free travel and you can live anywhere in the world, people will generally go there. So it will kind of, I think depending on how far you are down the line, depending on what the demand is from people that want to move into these.
I'm just thinking, I mean, if there's enough traction in a city, say for example, like a movement happens, where you have like a large body of people basically speaking up and saying, we're all, and it's been done in a professional way, kind of bottom up and top down together, where the community comes together and says, actually, we're ready for change, we're ready for something different. If the investment is there, because I think it's all about money at the end of the day, isn't it? Having enough investment to do the job. But I think with the right movement, the right amount of traction, the right people involved, I think if the investment is there, is it potentially something they could do in a city like London or in a borough of London and start rolling it out there?
I'm actually not too sure. I wouldn't know how to respond to that, basically. The actual designs for cities are pretty locked up, so I don't know exactly what they need. The thing is, in London, it would be what spaces there available, because people can be up for it. That's fine, but land is crazy expensive, and it's like the basis of all law. So it's not. Whilst there is a lot about money, there's also a lot about the people who want to be involved. There also needs to be, the land, the actual agreement with, say, if they're going to do it in London, how are they going to agree that with the councils in London? How are they going to agree that with mayor and PM? That kind of stuff. So
that's why the network is so important, and that's why we need people like Katrina on board, because she can literally open all of those doors.
Yeah.
You know, she have the right conversations with the right people. You know, get the idea germinating, and then basically act on it. So I think it goes back to what you were saying originally. It's very much to do with the network. You know, it's basically just getting the idea out there. But yeah, I'd love to see something happen in London. You know, especially the kind of boroughs that I do a lot of my work in. You know, Hackney in particular, which is where I'm from. You know, the community, they're crying out for some kind of change. You know, every day I do a lot of networking and going around to service providers. I speak to service users. You know, they're just fed up. They're completely fed up. They want something different, something new. So, you know, that's why I'm trying to do my bit. You know, so I can kind of change the things that I'm able to change. But at the same time, I'm bringing a lot of people together in Hackney, you know, and we're having these kind of discussions on a value system. We're having discussions on, you know, certain elements of spirituality. But even with Katrina and the people that she works with, I'm starting to meet a lot of people in the political arena, and I'm saying to them, look, you know, we need a massive change, you know, because there's so many hopeless people, there's so many vulnerable people, so many hard to reach people. You know, like 65–70% of the population don't even vote. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, these are people that are just lost and hopeless. They want that change, you know. So I think once we get enough traction, once we get enough movement and enough people believing in an idea and the right people involved, then we could maybe open a big door, you know.
That actually, it brings me on to something I've been wondering. I don't know how related it is to the theme of the overall discussion, but you mentioned voting, and I've been following a lot of what Russell Brand's been doing, and he's obviously very openly against voting because he doesn't see the point. And actually, it's where I take biggest issue with him, because and I have some friends who are very interested, not specifically with the Venus Project, but in like the Zeitgeist movement and things like that as well. And I speak to them, I'm like, no, you can work for change within the current like framework and out with it, right? You can work at both at the same time. And he disagrees, right? He says no, because the framework is what's holding us back. If you work within it, you legitimize it and you give it strength and power. Whereas I think, actually, if we voted for the right people who do actually represent what we want, instead of what we're scared of, like, oh my god, the economy could crash, let's vote Labour to save the economy, instead of actually, you know, maybe the Green Party has some really sensible ideas because they believe in sustainable investment, you know. And is there, in your opinion, is there a case for put the right people in Parliament, or should it be ignored?
I think it goes back to the internal change. You know, if you have an external change, then basically the internal system is gonna do everything in its power to shoot the external system down, because they see it as a threat, as a competition. So I think you have to have the change internally. It has to happen simultaneously. Everybody has to be part of that change. You know, I don't know if anybody else has got an opinion on it, to be honest. But
I think maybe Andrew, what you're saying is right in a way. I'm not sure how possible it is through political involvement, but I think through maybe creating your own like sustainable business and trying that way, you might be able to help things. But I think when it comes to actual building of a city, and I could be wrong here, but I think it's got to come from like the people at the top have got to want it as well. And until we get there, then they're just going to do everything in the power to stop it. I could be wrong.
Well, that's where I personally I feel that we actually need to work within the system. Like is it Antonio? I can't remember your name.
yeah. No, I call what you were saying. I know you're like, we're all in agreement in a sense, aren't we?
You said like this, is it Katrina has these contacts and things, and I think like you do. That's where the argument needs to go, because it's fine staying at one level, but unless it transcends every level or every class or every artificial division, whether that's political or economic or whatever, unless it gets to who we see as the top, which aren't really the top, but if it gets there, you know, like you said, if it's seen as an external thing, as an opposition, it's a threat, and it will be shut down. You know, so I think you need to kind of get inside the system and be like, look, actually, this isn't so bad. This could benefit you as well. You know,
Absolutely.
But a lot of people think, well, no, because they will always. It's like they will always give you enough just to keep you satisfied, but they don't want radical change. And I'm like, well, I think you need a little bit of both. That's my personal view, but I don't know. It's quite a divisive topic.
It's exactly what Katrina says a lot. You know, she says that. You know, because she's worked in politics for the last 10 years. She was the former advisor to Gordon Brown when he was in office. You know, she knows the Minister of Transport who works on the project with her. You know, she's very heavily connected. The idea that she's got is to roll out a professional community centre, borough to borough, across the nation. She's working with a high-speed rail, who basically said to her, you know, as we build the new high-speed rail network across the country, then we'll give you a venue at each of those locations to set up one Eye of the Storm venue. You know, so basically, her whole idea is to reactivate or to activate redundancy in people. So people that have latent skills, you know, time on their hands, you know, but don't have opportunities to engage with a top-down system. Then they can come into the eye of the storm, and then they can use their skills to engage with people at the top, with bigger corporations. You know, the system's fascinating. You know, but I think it's you know, she's trying to change the system, but she's having to do that from within the system. She has to work with the people that, you know, with the corporate world, which is basically, she's created the eye of the storm to escape the corporate world. You know, to do something, you know, more, I don't know, more rich, you know, something to give back to herself. So, but you can't do anything without engaging top down. You know, it just won't happen. It won't happen. So, and it's interesting, even with the Venus project, when oh gosh, I forget her name, Jacques and Roxanne, thank you. You know, they went to the European Union, didn't they? And I think they kind of had kind of, you know, very early stage conversation with the UN. I don't know what transpired or what happened, but it's the right way. It's the only way. You know, you have to engage with the system. You know, and you have to plant those seeds. But you have to do it delicately. You know, you can't go in gung ho and revolutionary and we want to change the system, and you just get a brick wall. You have to do it really gently, you know, and considerately. But I think it can happen. I think you look around the world and people want that change. It might not be as far off as we imagine or think, you know, but it just needs the right catalyst. That's what I believe anyway. I think it's just the catalyst that we're waiting for. Sorry, I'm really silent.
I'm kind of stuck out of that because this is something that I'm going over at the moment. I still don't know, like whether to vote or not, vote green, or is that, you know, you said like you're voting, you don't want to vote because you're scared of something, but like I think even voting for green, you're like, well, I'm scared that all the other idiots are going to vote. But then I still don't have that much confidence in the Greens. I listen to them and I still don't have that much confidence. They talk some good content sometimes, but they're constantly backing out of things that they've said about earlier. Like they're talking about universal basic income all the way up to basically the start of the election campaign, and now suddenly they're not doing it. You know, they're under the same pressures as everyone else is. So I don't think that it's possible for them to get into, you know, even like a coalition with, I don't know, SNP or something crazy, and still be true to what they're actually set out to be. They're not even really talking that much about environmental issues these days, which it's making them a bit more mainstream, but still, it's not what they might be about. I don't know. Anyway, that's just kind of what's going on in my head. And I probably won't know until the day whether I'm going to vote or not. But
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think I voted once in my whole life, you know. And if you ask me if I believe in the voting system, to be honest, I don't. You know, I think it's just, there was a picture on Facebook that said it all. You know, they had a picture, I think, of a cat with a really smiley face. You know, this is how politicians look before the election, and then another cat with a really sinister-looking face. This is what politicians look like after the election. It's almost, and that's what it is. It's just promises that never get fulfilled. You know, but I don't think that's particularly the fault of the parties that come into power. I just think that's just the system is so imbued with chaos and problems and issues that, you know, you want to come in, you might have the intention to come in and to fix all the problems, but the reality of it is, you know, unless the people change, unless the values change, unless, you know, the grassroots communities change, then there's little that politicians can actually do. You know, I mean, look at what's happening now. They're sending in the NHS. The government are telling the clinical commissioners to come into the community to ask service users what it is that they want, so that the clinical commissioners can feed back to government and implement those changes. So the fact is, the clinical commissioners are coming down in their suits, trying to engage with grassroots community. You know, whether they're African-speaking, Nigerian, West Indian, Indian, you know, all of these different diversities of cultures that just don't have any faith in the system. You know, so when you get these clinical commissioners coming down asking, you know, what can we do to change things, they're like, you know, we don't believe you're going to change anything. You know, so it's really, it's like one of those, it just goes back to government. You know, government can make so many promises, but unless the people are ready to be the change, then it's just promises that just become unfulfilled. You know, yeah, it's a very messy system, to be honest. Take a while to break down, but it is what it is, isn't it?
for me, the thing that I try and remind myself of when you get to this kind of times and people are saying, you know, you should vote or you shouldn't vote, and either way you're not engaging in some sort of system, is the thing is that the voting system is a very small part of our socio-economic system that we're in. We're all in it. None of us are actually outside of it. So everything that we're actually doing is within the system. And it's kind of like this false dichotomy. So vote or don't, whatever, it's up to you. You're still within the system, and it's more likely what you do within the 4 years between votes is going to be more important. So I try not to stress about it too much, but clearly I fail.
Yeah, I agree. I think Katrina made a really good point, actually. She said it takes somebody going into office 6 years to learn the job in order to do it effectively, but they only get 4 years in post. So by the time the 4 years are up, they're just literally gaining the skills that they would need in order to make the changes that are needed, but then they're out of office.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a catch-22, really, you know?
Yeah. I think none of the parties today are talking about political reform. Like, no one's talking about changing the way the voting works or the way the terms work.
I think the Liberal Democrats want that, but to be honest, would you give your vote to the Liberal Democrats these days? I'm not entirely convinced I would.
Well, that's it. You say you need 6 years to get the job. Okay, we'll give everyone 10 years. Oh, wait, we've had Nixon for 10 years and we can't get out. It's a problem with the whole thing. It's not so easily solved.
Mm.
Well, that's the thing. I think the politicians and officials are often viewed as like this enemy, right? And like, no, I genuinely believe the majority of them do want positive change, right? And you know, within themselves, they have a set of values, and they believe that they will represent the people and they will go and do this. And then when they get there, in fact, I watched an interview with Caroline Lucas, the Green MP, and she said, I was so optimistic when I walked into Westminster. It's like, right, I'm going to engage in debates, I'm going to propose ideas. And she got there, and nobody told her how to do it, right? nobody was there saying like, "Oh, you want to engage in this?" No, you shut up and let us do it all. She said that she'd spoken to a Conservative MP who had been a GP for something like 10 years, and she had then gone and said, "Look, I want to be on the Health Commission, right?" And the Tory whip said, "Well, no, we'd rather you were on the International Aid Commission." And she was like, "What good am I there? I joined with skills to help the NHS." And they're like, "Well, we don't want you voting on the NHS because you're a doctor and you'll know what we're doing is good or bad. We'd rather you just cast a vote somewhere else." Like, it's I generally think people go there with real ambition to make positive change, but they're held back, and I don't know why. I can't understand it, because nobody seems to want the current system, but everybody's trying so hard to keep it. I don't get it. But
It reminds me, what you just said reminds me of something that happens where I work. I work in a factory, and there's things like they come up with these random, I don't know, it's like they want the outside, any visitors, to see that they want the place to be safer, etc. But then as soon as like these visitors have gone, then like I think we're like target zero, where we've got to clean after we go, to keep the workplace safe, cutting boxes down, etc. And yet when you go to a manager and say, well, there's boxes left in a location, can you find out who it is? They don't want to know, because that means more work for them. So it's like they really just want you to get the work out as fast as possible. They don't care about safety. That's just a pain in their ass. And they need to be looking like they care about safety, to the outside world. So I think maybe it's the same sort of thing.
I get exactly what you mean, Mick, and it is very much that. It's very much the fact that we need people in these roles who actually care. There's people that are in these positions of power that don't care. They're just there as a means to an end. They're there because of the pay packet. They're there because of the fun and games.
They're there for the pay packet. You don't get paid a lot for being an MP. You really don't, compared to what these guys could be making.
And just another thing as well, I don't think it's like that people don't care. I think it's the people, the money, the pressure of money and the GDP and etc. It stops them. Even if they do care, they can't do it because it's not profitable to.
Yeah, or they're on the wrong.
I don't understand when the country's success. Why we measure the country's success in GDP? It's ludicrous,
What's the country that doesn't use GDP? They use GNH. It's something like Bhutan. There's gross happiness.
Yeah, no, it's
a thing like, I don't know. This kind of went over a bit earlier, but going back, I think another thing with politicians is that. Do you guys know about confirmation bias?
Yeah.
And basically, they have this. They're like everyone else. So they go into this with an idea of what they're expected to do, and they only listen to the feedback that supports that idea. So they keep doing what they're doing, thinking it's what everyone wants, because they just ignore 80% of people, something like that. So like they fall into this as well as everyone else. So it's just a part of how that disconnect can happen.
It's unfortunate. I mean, I probably spoke out of turn in the sense that people don't care. It comes across that way. It just comes across as though, and it probably is because of pressures. It's probably because they've got so many time restrictions. They've got to get this done within this time, and they haven't really got the time to put that care into the role. But I think that's the change that we need. We need to create roles that allow people to genuinely care. Because when somebody genuinely cares about what they're doing, that's when the changes we need will manifest. And until that happens, then it's just going to be more of the same. It's going to be more and more of the same. So, and it goes back, once again, it goes back to the values. It goes back to change of values. I don't know, Aidan, do you speak much to the kind of the central body of the Venus Project? Do you know kind of where things stand in their world at the moment, like where they are?
well, we have monthly point of contact meetings, so I know what a lot of other groups like us are doing around the world.
Okay.
And we get some updates from Venus through the POC admins, but they're not particularly regular or in huge amount of detail. Generally, at the moment, what they're doing is working on the third part of the choice is ours. And once that's done, we'll see what kind of comes up as a big project. I think there's an element of they need to be at Venus, they need to look after Jacques for as long as possible at this time, which could be kind of hindering the immediate progress that possibly could be going on. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's obviously understandable. So that, I don't really know, basically. We're speculating a bit here. And hopefully we'll get to hear from them soon, a more kind of update on where exactly things stand.
Have you got
I was going to say very quickly, I think they need, because I mean at the moment when we talk of the Venus Project, we just literally think of Jack and Roxanne, don't we? I think I feel like they need some more people. They need some more people to support them, like actual figureheads, even if
that's the impression I get. I mean, I'm quite new to it all, but I'm just like, how can two people kind of like inspire the whole world? I don't get it. You know, like it doesn't seem possible to me. You know, like I think they really do need more people in there, with a variety of skills, and people all over the world. I mean, obviously this is like how it starts, but unless they kind of come along and say like, guys, get in here. No, you can't just force yourself into kind of like leadership, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. The thing with it all comes down again to money, and those like Jack and Roxanne, they barely make enough money just to keep Venus going. They're not making any money off it. There's not really spare. Like Joel has been around for a long time, helping them out as much as possible, but he hasn't gone on the payroll. Same with people like Sean, Sasho, like the POCs and other admins that are around. We help out as much as possible. We haven't gone on the payroll. The thing is that I don't know what exactly it is, but basically there's kind of two entities. There's the Venus Project, which is Jacques and Roxanne, and I'm still not entirely clear on, but yeah, very much them. That's the Venus Project. And then there's all of us and the kind of pseudo-organization that's come around about TVP activism and all the other groups that are going on. I think all counter under TVP activism. And generally, I think of us as we're a fan club. That's a way to kind of say that our relationship with the Venus Project. We talk to them as much as we can, and we try and give them as much information as possible. We're kind of, these guys that are trying to do our best.
I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting as well. I was just thinking because you said that you speak to various other people from different parts of the world that kind of do what they're doing. Is there any particular country that not that they're leading, but that are kind of quite advanced in the work they're doing with the Venus Project? Is there a particular country that sticks out that?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different countries. There's lots of groups like these around the world, and most of them are basically doing different things. Some, like I know Slovenia at the moment is working. Their group is working quite heavily on online education platform for the Venus Project, and they're still very early days, and they're looking for people to help out with that. So they're kind of focusing a bit on that stuff. We have, say, the Italian group. They do a lot of translation-y based things. So they do lots of translations of all the materials. They do translations of the memes and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. There's other groups that actually have, a couple have had like events and things similar to the ones that we've done before. And they kind of come up and down. I know the Russian team, whilst they've been quite separate for a long time, have gone quite far, and they've actually got to the point where they've set up a non-profit organization to print and distribute Venus Project's books and material. I think just the books, possibly other DVDs and stuff, in Russian over there, and they like split however much they sell it for with Venus. So I guess it really depends what you mean by progress and which ones are kind of how you want to rate it.
Yeah, this is it. Quantity versus quality. I think for me, it's just more like more to do with numbers. Like what country has got most people behind them, behind the project. Because then the reason I'm asking is there something we can do to replicate what they're doing? Is there something they're doing that we're not doing to bring in that volume of people?
I think
So.
the point of contact orientation. I think that's at least it gets everybody gives everybody a better idea of the Venus Project, and then the more people become point of contact for the UK, then when we're doing events or whatever, there can be somebody who prefers to talk about behaviour or somebody who prefers to talk about technology, so that then when there's more people educated on what we need to know about the Venus Project, then when it comes to an event we look professional, not unsure of what we're saying, and then from then, when people come to the Venus Project, there's not only Aidan running the Hangout, so if Aidan's out, then there's no Hangout. You know what I mean? So I think it's about I think it'll build eventually. It's going to take time. It can't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's definitely about bringing the specific skills together. I mean, obviously, I'm really looking forward to trying to do this orientation process. But I'll be honest, like the technology side of the Venus Project goes way over my head, right? I'm not technologically minded. I'm good with people, right? Like I want to go to university. I want to study sociology and French, right? Because I'm good with people and I'm good at like research and analysis. But when it comes to stuff like physics and engineering, I'm just like, what on earth is this, right? Unless like I can sit and talk to somebody all day about the social benefits of the Venus Project, and they're like, right, how are you going to do it? I'm like, really fast trains, eco-friendly houses, and like, how are you going to do that? Right? And I'm like, someone else has the plans for that, and they're like, right, well, you know what? Why should I listen to you then? Because I sound like another politician, because I can't explain that kind of stuff, and unless I have someone that just sits and like, this is how this works, I'm like, right, okay, So I think it's about bringing the skills together and the different ideas and stuff,
Well, yeah, good. Like that's why I'm giving real thumbs up here, because I am more technically minded. I'm not particularly great with people. I've slowly gotten better, I think. But I know that it's not my strength. So if eventually come along, you can be more like that. You can do this, all this kind of stuff. It kind of depends. Like each group around the world, the point of contact. So it really depends who's coming and what skills they have, what they get on and do, and what crops up. Like we had VegFest because Sheena knew someone, and like it was pure basic luck that we got that, and that's been really good for us. So it's kind of what you come up with in the world. I'll give you guys a quick roundup from some of the notes that I took from all the teams. There's a lot of teams last night. There was 36 different countries represented. I won't go through them all, just some interesting ones. So in Spain, they've got a team member who started doing original lectures in TeamSpeak in Spanish about the Venus Project, and they do weekly meetings, 2 of them. And so they've got quite a good base of people that go there. Armenia team, they're talking about a growth from Facebook. They've had 9,000 views of Paradise of Living in Armenian, and they've been translating a lot of material. Slovenia was online educational platform that they're working on, and they're asking for programmers, media proficient people to be sent their way. Let's skip down a few. In Brazil, they've been doing really well lately. They've got 3 points of contact candidates at the moment, which is good, and they've been doing a lot of work. They've done 3 presentations of TVP in various universities around Brazil, and they've got a few more coming up. Mexico, so like I take notes hopefully from this and try and update what we're doing. So they've got a load of they basically spent a lot of time setting out real physical goals for their year, setting out actual number targets of how many likes, how many viewings, how many lectures and hostings things they want to do, so they can do reporting really well. So that's really cool. I want to get better at that for us in the UK. And I'll give one more. Who else has been doing some cool stuff? Canada. Oh yeah, Canada. They've set up now. They've got a couple of points of contacts, and they've started setting up their weekly hangouts like this. Canada is across like 5 time zones, so they're a bit of a pain, but they're doing really well as well.
Wow, sounds fascinating. So there's a lot of stuff happening, really.
Yeah, lots of stuff. Oh, Chile, they did a presentation at a university as well, and I can share with you the video. No, the picture. But yeah, some say, like, for me this month I didn't have a lot to say apart from our event that's coming up because we haven't had a couple of hangouts. So some people is just more like, yeah, we've been doing emails, cracking on. But there's lots of things going on around the world. I really want to start making this a bit more announced. I'm going to kind of tidy up my notes and then post it on the page so that just to say, hey, look, it's not just us in the UK, there's people doing stuff all over.
Yeah, definitely. Are you? I mean, what's the kind of agenda for the 5th? Is there various talkers? Is there specific subjects that you're going to be covering?
You mean the new era plan?
Yeah, is that partly to do with the Venus Project, or
No, the new era plan is it's just a fair that's been set up by. Sorry, I'll find the website so you can have a look. I can't remember what his name is. But basically, again, Sheena has this contact with this guy, and I just got brought in basically at the end. So basically, this guy is running this fair. He's independently got in touch with the Venus Project and set up them to be a lecturer. So it's like a business fair, you know, like at university we go and all the social. There's tons of tables and leaflets, and there's a little lecture hall, I think, at the end. So I think they're going to play in their actual talk. They're going to play a bit of Paradise or Oblivion and then do Q&A and a bit of a lecture over Skype. And basically that needs no involvement from you guys that are going down. That's kind of separate to us. Sheena's going down, and and anyone else is coming down. Probably going to be given a table. We're going to have some posters, I believe, that are being picked up, I think, by Sarah, I heard.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. Thank you to whoever's giving them us. I think you're from the Zeitgeist Movement, so I'll give you a shout out. Yeah. And basically, what I'm going to do is just create like an Excel sheet so you can take down people's email addresses and give you guys some information. Unfortunately, I don't have time to print out a whole bunch of business cards and send them down to you guys again. But if you, I don't know, buy a notepad, I'll send you £1. Like buy a Post-its and just put the Venus Project on it, .com on it, or something like that, and start giving them out to people. Generally, just to be a face there, because people are going to come up and go, so what's all this about then? So generally, nice face, talking to people. Hopefully, it'll be a fun day.
Cool. Sounds good.
But yeah, the fair is about technology and business in the future, I believe. General kind of themes.
Okay. Okay, because yeah, I thought I didn't really know that it was a kind of fair. I thought there was just like a talk from the Venus project. I didn't realise there was other stuff going on. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's a whole kind of it's a jobs fair and technology fair. It says.
Okay.
I didn't realise, but on their webpage, it just scrolled across. Sheena is singing with her band, The Venus Rising, in the evening.
Oh, sweet. I should check that out.
Pretty cool.
She seems to be getting about quite a lot, doesn't she?
Yeah, they did a thing with BBC Stoke radio station. I think they did a live session.
Wow.
I hope they got a recording of it. I've asked her.
She seems like a good public figure. She's got the kind of the right kind of energy and kind of personality, and I think she's a good figurehead for the Venus project. And it seems like she's pulling in a lot of contacts from what you're saying as well. So it's good. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, well, she's basically set up all the events that we've had over the last year and a half, just through contacts that she knows, which is why I've kind of delegated this little role on her, because she was the point of contact, but it was a bit too much for a schedule with her two boys. So she sat down a while ago, but I'm going to kind of delegate a little bit onto her, and hopefully she can kind of be the person to find events, or if anyone hears of events, tell her, even just like viewings at your house. If you want to just have an open house and people can come around and watch a movie, hopefully a Venus Project movie, then we can like promote it. That.
Of course. I've got I sent her one event. I'm going to be doing a talk on Thursday next week. To about, I think there's going to be about 100 people there from the worlds of health and well-being, clinical commissioners, and just a variety of different people basically. But following that, we've been given a venue in Hackney. We've been given 6 days that we can use the venue for free. It's a nice venue, and we were thinking of rolling out something community-based for a kind of early days health and well-being workshop, really, like complementary and alternative medicine. But I'm gonna meet Sheena on the 5th, and I'll say to her, if she wants, she can come down and maybe utilize some of that space and set up a little drive for the Venus project. Just get some traction. There's be a lot of interaction and engagement from local community. So maybe we can have some education workshops about what the Venus project's about, things like that. I'm open to that. So I can discuss that with you guys on the 5th if you want.
Yeah, I won't be there on the 5th, unfortunately. So yeah.
Okay. I didn't realise what you would be down.
No, it's middle of the week and pretty busy. I think I'm going to be in Germany, possibly in work. But yeah, Sheena will be there, so you can talk to her all about that, or feel free to message me anytime. I'm still here trying to do this kind of stuff, but yeah, Sheena's just going to help me out.
Okay, cool. I'll catch up. See if we can get something running. So.
When are those dates you said?
I've got a set of them. I've already got them cemented. I can't remember them off the top of my head. There is 2 in May and 4 in June. But what I'll do, I've got a flyer with the actual workshops that we're going to be running. I can send that across to you. I can send that to you on Facebook. And just work with the dates. Speak to Sheena if she wants to come in and have a little stall or something and promote what she's doing. I'm more than happy to support her. So, and it would be a good way for her to kind of maybe even meet Katrina and learn about the Eye. By the way, Katrina's going to be setting up an Eye of the Storm in Hackney. So so it's all kind of converging in that area, and it'll be nice to kind of have a bit of influence from the Venus project in and around what we're setting up as well. So, but I'll update you. I'll send you all the bits in that if you want.
Yeah, please do. That sounds good. If it's far enough away, I can come down as well. Because Sheena, it's a bit far for Sheena to come down quite a lot. she's more than happy to.
Where was she based?
Stoke.
Okay. Okay. How long is that to get to London? I'm not really good with geography.
Probably get on for 2.5 hours.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Well, maybe she can just send me the material and I can set it up.
Yeah. Or you say there's people like you or Adam. And
yeah, I see ads quite a lot. We do a couple of music projects as well, so I know he's very much on board with that. So.
Cool. Yeah, I know. I think he couldn't do the 5th, but depending on what day it is, he might be able to come down. Or Sarah's always willing and willing.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we get these in advance, I can post them on the page and promote them to say we're going, who wants to come down, that kind of stuff.
Okay, brilliant. Cool. All right. Well, let me have a rummage through the dates and figure out what's going on, and I'll forward you some bits, and we can work from there.
All right, perfect. And we are well over time.
It's been productive though. I don't know if you guys have enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. I think we only got to question 2 though. So that's
spontaneity. I think it's the precursor for creativity. That's where the ideas come from, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. It's very good. I enjoyed it today. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm going to stop the broadcast now.